The first time I ever remember helping out at the stand, I was just a little kid, couldn't even see over the counter unless my dad stacked up two splintery old wooden crates for me to stand on. He'd have me bagging tomatoes while he greeted neighbors like old friends, the whole place humming with that sweet feeling of belonging, you know? It wasn't just a fruit and vegetable stand. Not even close. It was the pulse of our land, the beating artery between our fields and the town. People came for the peaches and corn, sure, but they stayed for my father's stories and the quiet. Promised that somewhere out here, something honest still existed. He built that stand with his own hands in '78. No blueprints, no contractors, just 4 wooden posts, a tin roof, and some boards. Scavenged from the old barn that the tornado took out before I was born, the whole thing smelling like earth and effort and home. When Dad passed, I promised my mother I'd keep it running, no matter how much easier life might be if I sold out to some supermarket chain, or leased the land off to a developer. No, that stand was our name, our story, our anchor in a world that wanted to drift away. And when Mom died, I moved back for good, brought my daughter Emma with me, and set out to raise her on the same dirt that raised me. There's a kind of stillness in this soil you can't fake. And I guess I always figured I'd do whatever it took to keep that alive. Now, folks always say you gotta let go of tradition, make way for progress, but that stand, it wasn't about rustic charm for. And it all started to change the day the new subdivision went up, a high-end development with a fancy name, Ridge Creek Preserve, slapped over what used to be endless rows of soybeans. Replaced with cul-de-sacs and gates that made it feel more like a country club than a place people actually lived. The HOA signs popped up, the rules got shinier, people started walking around with clipboards and practiced, tight smiles. At first, we barely interacted, their roads didn't cross mine, and truth be told, most of them seemed happy to stay inside, the way folks do when they move to. Woman steps out, heels on gravel, sunglasses, hair yanked back so tight, I thought her face might crack. She gave the place the once-over like she was searching for a crime scene. "You the owner?" she asked, not smiling, not offering a name, then pointed up at the painted sign, the one my dad carved by hand, and told me flat out, "You'll need to remove that. It violates the visual guidelines of the community." I just stared, feeling my jaw loosen, because ma'am, this stand was here when that land was all cows and cow pies. She didn't crack. "Regardless, we have standards. Not some corner lot inside their gates. We paid county taxes, not HOA dues." But her tone stuck with me, cold and surgical, like she truly believed she was the law. Brushed it off, until 2 days. Start gathering receipts and boundary maps. When the second letter showed up, this one taped right to the front of the stand, flapping in the wind with final warning scrawled across the top. I started to realize this wasn't just some misunderstanding, it was a siege. The letter was signed by Bradley H. Morton, HOA compliance officer. Never met the man, didn't care, but the signature had a new line. Legal action may be pursued without further notice. That got under my skin, I won't lie. I stood out there staring over my fields, corn whispering in the wind, the little orchard my dad planted behind the old barn, Emma's tires swing, and I felt this deep, hard thing settle in my chest. They'd picked the wrong damn family. That evening, I took the letter to town. My old Army buddy. For city zoning. Elsie didn't say much, just pulled out a yellowed parcel map and traced the lines with a chipped pencil. "Your property ends here. That road, the one they're so worried about, that's county maintained. They don't own a damn inch past their fancy sign." Relief washed over me, but Elsie just gave me a look. "If they want to make this a safety or nuisance issue, they'll drag you through civil court. They'll try to wear you down on legal fees." That's when I knew this wasn't a neighborly spat. This was going to be a war of attrition. Back home, I showed Emma the letter. She read it, jaw tightening, then looked at the stand glowing under the porch light. But that stand is part of who we are. I didn't answer, didn't have to. That night, I dug through every old folder I could find. Land deeds, tax receipts, building permits, a grainy photocopy of the original zoning exemption from 1979, signed by the mayor and notarized by Betty Jean Crawford, who still sang in the church choir. Labeled the binder defense. The HOA doubled down, sent their so-called compliance officers, which meant 2 guys in polos with clipboards. showing up every morning, photographing the stand, license plates, even Emma as she set out the honey jars. One afternoon, she came in breathless. "Dad, they're taking pictures of me." I saw red. I called the sheriff's non-emergency line. Dispatcher said unless it got physical, not much they could do. But that night, I went back through the binder, highlighting every exemption, every photo, every angle. If they wanted a paper war, I'd bury them in it. Funny thing, just when I thought we were alone, Mary Louise pulled up. Hadn't seen her in years, but she'd read about the HOA drama. She bought peaches, jam, even one of Emma's aprons, and before she left, took a photo for the paper. They'll want to see what they're trying to destroy. Word started to spread, and I held on to this. Small hope. Maybe if I showed the board all our documentation, they'd see reason. I left a message, got a call back from Marjorie Davenport, HOA president. "You have 10 minutes at the next board meeting, but this is a courtesy, not a negotiation." That night, I prepped like I was going to court. The meeting room at Ridge Creek looked like a country club lodge. Glass walls, stone facade. Art that probably cost more than my tractor. Marjorie sat in the middle, pearls gleaming, smile polite, but eyes predatory. I laid out the history, the permits, the county's own letter saying the stand was none of their business. No flicker of understanding, just icy determination. "Your documentation may reflect previous allowances," Marjorie sniffed, "but we're establishing a unified aesthetic." I tried to hold my ground, explained we weren't part of their HOA, didn't use their roads, didn't pay their dues. They argued my stand was within visual proximity. When a retired accountant in the back piped up, "I drive by that stand every Sunday. Reminds me of my grandfather's farm. I don't see the harm." Marjorie shot him down. "We are not discussing subjective feelings. We're discussing compliance." That's when it hit me. This wasn't about a sign, or a stand, or even rules. This was about control. 3 days later, the original sign, my father's sign, was gone. Not broken, not vandalized, just quietly unbolted and removed. A blue strip of tape the only thing left. Emma found me standing there, fists clenched. We filed a report, but with no witnesses. Nothing came of it. The HOA denied everything, of course. That night, I didn't sleep. I pulled out a scrap of pine from the barn and carved a new sign by lantern light. Wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Emma and I painted it barn red, bolted it down, called the local paper. Within days, the new sign was gone too, another removal order from the HOA. That was the last straw. I started documenting every move, body cam, trail cams, a log of every truck that parked across the road. I downloaded the full 87-page HOA bylaw and dug through every word with Emma. Popcorn, coffee, highlighters everywhere. On page 63, we found it. Their authority ends at their property line. All this time, they were bluffing, banking on us not reading the fine print. I got an official, notarized letter from county zoning. The stand was legal, protected, grandfathered in. Called up my old Army buddy Ray, now a municipal attorney. He took one look and told me, "They've got nothing." He gave me the playbook, document everything, gather witness statements, get the press involved. So we did. The local paper ran a headline. HOA oversteps boundaries. County confirms no violation. That lit a fire in the community. Neighbors started dropping off groceries. Folks we hadn't seen in years showed up to buy jam. Teenagers painted banners. Suspicious gatherings welcome here. It turned into a party. Fiddles, bake sales, people dancing on the gravel. Every time the HOA tried to blockade us, cones, signs, complaints, the community just pushed back harder. But the HOA kept filing complaints. Noise, traffic, unlicensed public venue. Shelby, the deputy, showed up with a warning. "They're betting you'll get tired first." Emma didn't flinch. "How far are we willing to go?" she asked. "All the way," I said. So I filed for an injunction. Ray helped me get a court date. The sheriff started stopping by more often, just in case. Local veterans took shifts in lawn chairs, quietly guarding the stand, a show of flannel solidarity. The town rallied. Petitions, offers to testify, kids running lemonade, stands to support our legal fees. The press showed up, TV, newspapers, regional bloggers, everyone wanted a piece of the drama. By the morning of the hearing, the place looked like a festival, vendors, neighbors, signs everywhere. In court, the HOA's lawyer tried to argue visual environment, but the judge saw right through it. He slapped down a temporary injunction, all fines void, all harassment to stop, effective immediately. If the HOA so much as sneezed in our direction again, we'd have grounds for a civil suit. In the hallway outside, Emma squeezed my hand so hard I thought my bones would snap, and Ray just grinned. They had nothing. Marjorie, the president, resigned 2 weeks later. No speech, just a memo. The HOA retreated. The stand thrived. We expanded, added new tables, a canopy, fresh lights. Donations poured in. Time, tools, sweat. Folks who'd been on the other side of the fight showed up to help. Emma ran the first fall harvest festival. Music, hay bales, cider, pumpkin pies. Hundreds turned out. The paper ran a story. From threatened to thriving. How one stand united a town. And somewhere in all that noise and hope, I found Dad's old rocker buried in the barn. Dragged it out, dusted it off, set it back beside the stand where it belonged. Emma handed me a little brass plaque, etched with, in memory of Thomas Hawthorne. He planted more than seeds. I screwed it to the backrest and sat beside her in the evening light, the wind rustling the cornstalks, neighbors laughing, kids chasing fireflies in the dusk. Shelby showed up with the final paperwork. No more gray areas. You're untouchable now. She told me, most people don't win these fights. I shook my head. I didn't do it alone. That's the thing, isn't it? You stand up, quiet, legal, steady, and others stand with you. Maybe the world's not lost after all. So tell me, if you'd been in my boots, would you have fought as hard for a sign, a stand, a story? Or do you think there are bigger things worth standing for out there? Drop your thoughts below. Share your own battles. Tell me about the time you saw a little justice win out over a whole lot of noise. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to hold onto the roots that make us who we are, aren't we?